Hang out on there is check it out. Now, is it actually doing the thing I want it to do? Yes, there it is. Yay! Okay. All right, folks, here we are. Just a couple more things to set up. Make sure I've got all my ducks in a row. You are going to scoot over there. There are way too many screens that have my face on it right now. Hello, you guys. The FOD runner is here. Nice to see you, man. Hey, so I'm still getting set up here. I want to, while I'm sitting here trying to figure this out, because for some reason I have to relearn this. It seems like every couple of weeks. Hello, Bianca. And the Forest of Dean runner. Yes, I have been watching your videos, dude. It has been so much fun to watch. Rebecca, hello. I am going to do a couple of things here before, as I'm waiting for some of you guys to come on in here. One of the things I'm going to do is leave a couple of links because I'm going to talk a little bit about motivation today. Somebody asked a question about this earlier. The other thing is a survey. So for those of you who are just joining me, who have just subscribed recently, who are, okay, it's not working. That link is not working. I don't know why. For those of you who are just joining, I have recently gotten my coaching certification. Guys, check this out. It's official. Woohoo! Yep. Yeah, that's right setup. Yeah, so check it out. It's official now. So here's what's happening. I have so many ideas about what I'm going to do going forward, right? And I have almost too many ideas. Thank you, Heather. The first thing I want to do, I finally got it up there. So the first one is, the first link I threw in there is another video about getting motivated. The other one is going to be this survey. It is a very, very short survey. That will have 3 questions in it. It'll take you literally 1 minute. If you are watching this after the fact, the link to that survey is in the description. So that survey is basically to get it still isn't working. Okay. I don't know why. I really don't know why that's not working. I'll have to figure that out. I will leave a link to that survey in the description after the fact, and I will also post it on my Grace and Pretzels Facebook page. The whole point of that survey is to kind of focus my energy, have a lot of ideas, a lot of things I want to do, but with only so many hours in a day, and so many of those hours are dedicated to already quite a few things. I don't want to spread myself so thin and give you less than quality content. So that being said, I will try to figure out how to get that survey going. I don't know why it is not working. Maybe if I try this. Give me 1 second, you guys. I am going to figure this out. Wait a minute. Maybe we try that. Does it go there? It does. Okay. Let me try this for right now. And if this doesn't work, I'll figure it out later. Just still do. Anyway, we'll figure that out later. Sorry, guys. So what I want to talk about today, if you guys have questions for me, please leave them in the chat. I would love to hear what your questions are, how to help you guys on your running journey. But I have gotten quite a few questions from you as I've gone along in the last couple of weeks. It was crazy because I was completely tapped out of ideas. And now all of a sudden in the last couple of weeks, I have so many questions. That idea pool is completely overflowing. So thank you guys so much. And now here's what's happened. What is so amazing to me that I consider myself now a veteran runner, but I still don't understand. I still can see feel what it's like to be a novice runner, to be a beginning runner, because it was 10 years ago, maybe, that I started running, dedicated my fitness to running almost specifically. So I have a lot of experience. I have run a lot of miles, but now I can still see, I can still feel what it's like to be a novice runner. So a lot of the questions I'm getting from you guys are those questions that I was asking very early in my running journey. And it's funny because those questions kind of send me down this rabbit hole. Like, oh, well, like if you guys saw my video on Tuesday about how many races is how much running is too much running, how much racing is too much racing. I realized, wait, there's more to it than that. And I could go that way, or I could go this way. And so all of a sudden I have 10 videos that I want to make just that started with one question. So thank you for that. One of the questions, though, that I thought was really interesting. So Michelle brought this up. Michelle, if you're here, I didn't write your last name down, but if you're here, give me a holler. You might know that this is your question. She says she wants me to talk about the mental aspect of running. So getting out there, staying out there, not giving into the slumps of bad run days or training weeks. Okay. And then she has a second part to this question, and I really want to get into that. And what she says is, I had all sorts of ideas about what running would be like and what real runners do in training. And I'm finding out a lot of it is not true, or it's way more than I thought it would be. So here's what's interesting. That idea of what a runner looks like. There's a reason why I wore this shirt today, you guys. This is what a runner looks like. If you look in the mirror, this is what a runner looks like. We have this picture, though, don't we? We have of what a runner is supposed to look like. That it's a Nike ad, right? It's a Reebok ad. It's that, happy, the smile on your face, dripping with sweat, but happy about it. Long, lean running form, perfect. And it's just this picturesque running through the mountains or along the roads or whatever it happens, because that is so not what running is. Okay. So we have this picture, and that's how well Nike or Reebok or whoever, that's how well they do their job. Because we have that image now that's what a runner is supposed to look like. But I would encourage all of us, wherever we are on this journey, that you look in the mirror, that's what a runner looks like. Okay. So while I think there can be value in that Nike ad image, it's not realistic. Just like it's basically everything we see on TV, right? So I want to encourage you to shift your thinking, especially if you're a novice runner, over what a runner is supposed to look like, sound like, act like, feel like, be like. Because we all have a place on this journey, and we all have to come to terms with being where we are. I don't think I own any Nike run. I have maybe 2 pairs of tights and shorts, and they're really snug. I don't know. They definitely make their equipment for that type of runner. Anyway, guys, I'm hoping I'm making sense here about what a runner is supposed to look like. So I want to go back real quick and see what questions you guys are asking. Stephanie, hello. Heather, you're here. Katie. Okay, Katie, I have to point out, Katie, because I have a quick story to tell, totally tangential. And this is why I'm so excited that FOD Runner is here. Guys, if you haven't checked out his channel, the FOD Runner, he has his own channel. He lives in the UK. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm so sorry. But he's got this, where he gets to run is absolutely gorgeous. There's this fantasy looking forest that he runs through, and it's just spectacular. So check out his channel, subscribe to him as well. But here's a quick story. So after I got off of the live video last time, 2 weeks ago, I was sitting at the deli, right, just hanging out, waiting to kind of come down off of this high, because this is crazy, you guys. I get really amped up after this thing. And so all of a sudden, the Run Experience goes live. So if you haven't checked them out, check them out. The Run Experience is another YouTube channel. So they go live every Thursday. And it was just right after I had shut down. So I'm watching them, and I had said something along the lines of, you know, thank you guys. You really have inspired this channel. And all of it. And I get, oh, wait, you have a channel? And so they checked me out. And then everybody that was in the chat came over and started subscribing. And it was just, it blew my mind, you guys. It was so sweet. And Katie was in there for part of that conversation. I don't know how long you hung out there, Katie, but it was amazing. Okay. So all of a sudden I got this bump in subscriptions. I've got a lot of new subscribers. So thank you to all of you guys who are coming out for who are brand new to this channel. So that was my quick story. Let's get to some questions. And from snowy England, I heard that it was supposed to snow over there. Just look at YouTube videos of Disney runs and you will see all sorts of runners. And that is so true. I love watching runs, being in person, and the energy of spectating runs, because you see every shape and size, right? And it is so interesting to watch. And it's if the novice runner, someone who is concerned about whether or not they can be a runner, or the non-runner who looks at someone like me and says, wait, you run? First of all, I'm like, no, we're not going to have a conversation about that. I just tell them, go watch the back half of any race, and you will see a variety of runners. Okay. So it's very true. You would think they could make sizes the same as every other normal company. Yeah. Yeah. Nike. This is the thing I have about Nike. Jeremy, how do you recover after a long distance, like a half marathon or a marathon? Jeremy, this is a fantastic question, because were you at Princess? I know a lot of you guys. Yeah. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. I just finished Princess Weekend Fairy Tale Challenge. Yes, exactly. And there's so, we feel like when we finish a big event like that, hey, we got to get right back out there and just go, right? I took almost the entire month of January off of running completely. I went out for 2 jogs, and I added 2 to 3 minutes per mile on my pace. So when I did run, excuse me, I was running much slower just for recovery. So how do you recover after a long distance? Take your time getting back into it. Prop your feet up, binge watch something. That is how I recover. I spend time thinking about what I just accomplished, and say, okay, this is what's going to come next based on what I just did. So let's just say, for example, I didn't hit the goal I wanted. Let's just say I finished Prairie Dog Half is a really good example of that. I did not hit my goal, and it really bugged me. So instead of coming up with a new goal, I said, okay, I'm just going to repeat that goal. So I took a few weeks, and for that race, it was maybe a week and a half, I think, Jeremy, maybe 2 weeks, that I kind of kicked back. I relaxed a little bit. Easy, super easy runs. I'm not going to add in a bunch of strength work, speed work right away. So if you're looking at a marathon, there are, what am I thinking? There are resources out there that will say for every mile you run in a race, you should take a day of recovery. Now, what that means is not complete inactivity, but active recovery. So going for walks, easy runs as you get a little bit more distance. But think about it. If it's a half marathon, you're taking 2 weeks. If it's a full marathon, you're taking almost a month. For the Dopey Challenge, I took the entire month of January and really just kicked my feet up. I didn't start really training until the beginning of February, really adding speed work in, adding the TRX back in, adding the strength work back in. That was after the fact. So Jeremy, I hope that helped. The metal addiction is real, Heather. Yes, it is. I know Heather, you just did Princess, right? Listening to the whole thing, couldn't chat a lot because I was doing housework. Good for you. My first challenge race, still recovering. How long do you recover? Guys, you're what, 5 days out? It is where are we? It's March 1st. Wait a minute. Guys, you just did a half marathon on Sunday and it was hot. No, you guys have just take another week. Seriously, you guys don't need to start adding mileage back in, heavy mileage back in for another week or so. I know who here is doing Star Wars. Throw some information in there. Okay, Jeremy, you didn't do Princess. You did your first half the same day. Yeah, okay. It was super hot, I know, at Princess. Another viewer from snowy Dorset. Hi, Gordon. Nice to see you here. I probably won't agree with it all, but you are always worth listening to. Hey, I appreciate, I'm like I said, I'm very much into my journey and I can get a little, what's the word? Tunnel vision. Get a little bit of tunnel vision when I'm doing some of these videos, and I have to look at it from a lot of different perspectives. And sometimes that's a challenge for me because of where my journey is, where I've come from and where I'm going. So Gordon, I really do appreciate you chiming in on some of these videos. So thank you very much for that. Hot, what is that? And isn't it snowing where you are? John Duffy is doing the dark side half. I will be living. Key Lime is doing the dark side. What is it now? The first order challenge. Really wish I was going. It's just not the right time for me. We are looking at doing it next year though. So that would be the Run Disney first order challenge. I actually tried signing up for the virtual half and it was sold out. Anybody else do the virtual half? The Star Wars Resistance virtual half? Anyway, another thing that Michelle was talking about is getting motivated, right? So we're talking about, first of all, changing our image about what a runner is supposed to look like, right? So you look like a runner. I'm just going to say that. I look like a runner because I'm a runner, okay? But what Michelle was saying about the mental aspect of running, and I really started thinking about this, and I think this is applicable. So as we gain experience running, right, the more we run, the easier it gets. It really is. It's developing the physical muscle to run more efficiently and more effectively with less fatigue and all of that. So that's the physical conditioning. And I think motivation is the development of the mental muscle. It's how we teach ourselves what are the excuses that we like to come up with, because we all have them, and what we need to do to get past them, right? So I've seen it a lot. It's been a theme all over Facebook. Be stronger than your excuses. That is strength training for your mind. I really think that. So when it comes to getting out there and staying out there, and when you have a bad run day, what do you do the next one? That's all just part of the journey. If we all had awesome runs every single time, how would we learn? It's like if we don't fall off the bike, how do we learn to stay on it? Okay. So when we're talking about developing that mental muscle, go back in. I left way up at the top of the chat. I left a link to some of my tips for getting motivated. Find out why you're doing it. That's the first one. Figure out why. And I would suggest not making it a number, whether it's a pace number or a PR number or the number on a scale or a dress size. I don't like doing that for me because I believe that's fleeting and discouraging. So find the big why. I want to be running when I'm 70. I want to chase after my kids or my grandkids, or I want to just walk up a flight of stairs without getting winded. Does that make sense? That's the big picture, long term, that you want to get something out of your fitness journey. Okay. So there's the why. Find out your why. Then set a goal. Then there's where your numbers can come in. So set the goal. But make it achievable. Give yourself a victory. And sometimes those victories can be easy, like low-hanging fruit, right? I want to finish a 5K in 8 weeks. Walking, running, crawling, whatever it happens to be, right? I set whatever goal that is achievable to you, because an easy victory is going to just pole vault you into the next goal. So whether you sign up for a race or not, whether you circle a date on the calendar and do a 5K, Katie, I know you just did a couch to 5K, I believe. Please correct me if I'm wrong. When I don't see faces attached to your chat, I'm like, oh, I think that's who you are. I need faces. I love putting faces to names. What else? Then list out how you got to get out there, right? What do you need to do? Does that mean you lay out your clothes the night before if you're going to go for a morning run? Does that mean that you need someone to watch your kid? Whatever it is, make a step-by-step plan. Key lime. That's right. It was Katie and key lime. See, you two. I've got Bruce the shark. A couple of other things. I don't want to, because I can beat this. Oh, you did. Okay. You did catch. You both did. Okay. So I wasn't confused. Okay. Sorry. A couple of things. A couple of big things that I want to say about motivation. Develop a positive language. Okay. Instead of saying, oh, I have to go for a run, switch it up. I get to go for a run. And think of how I just said it. I have to. It takes all the breath out of us, right? I get to. It's a very different way to say that. So when we start changing our language, the other thing that really I strongly discourage you to say is, I'm slow. No, you're not slow. You are a whole lot faster than someone who's sitting on the couch. Just saying. Take that language out and you might and when you start to catch yourself, then saying something like that, like, okay, well, I'm slow. No, I'm not slow. I'm moving. Okay. Change your language a little bit. Look for ways to track your workouts. Okay. Have a visual. If you like stickers on a calendar, I personally like Training Peaks and Strava and all of those fun places. When you're not motivated, when I'm not motivated, this is one of the things I do. I put my shoes on, I get dressed and I just go out, and I promise myself I will be out for 10 minutes. And maybe I'm walking, maybe I'm running, maybe I'm complaining the whole time, but I'm out for 10 minutes. I promise myself 10 minutes. And if you go in one direction for 10 minutes and you decide to bail, guess what? You have to turn around and go 10 more minutes. And that's all of a sudden a 20-minute out, right? So that's just one of the ways. And it still counts. As far as I'm concerned, you know what? I tried. The bad days we can learn from the bad days. And we can say, okay, what was it that got in my way today? And just remind yourself that, okay, that's not going to happen every day. So I mean, I know you guys are like all over the place in here and I love it. So I want to just go back a couple. My body type does not scream runner, but every scar, every sore muscle reminds me how far I have come and not to get lost in the image of a runner. Well said, Heather. Yes, Stephanie agrees with me. Well said. Very nicely said. So I want to say that again, actually. Heather says this: my body type does not scream runner, but every scar, every sore muscle reminds me how far I have come. Feel it and not get lost in the image of a runner. Oh, girl. Love that. Okay. So Jeremy, my guys at work are always surprised when I do X run. They all say, I don't see you as a runner. Oh, I hate that. It's just like, okay. That's so hard to come back to, right? And everyone thinks I'm too old to be a runner. No such thing. I want to be running when I'm 87, and that will be Run Disney's 50th anniversary. Now there's a goal, and I like that. Key Lime just finished Couch to 5K, starting 10K. Katie just did Couch to 5K. And okay, so you guys, okay, you know where all of the 10K, 5K, Couch to 10K. There is an app for Couch to 10K. I have Runner Geek Girl. I saw you in the run experience, and I was so excited. I'm glad to have you here. Thank you. Welcome. I have to go for a run before I go crazy. Been there. Key Lime. My biggest obstacle is the slow problem. Sometimes it feels to me that my run pace is slower than the walk pace. You know what? That is a really good example. That happened to me. And this would be a couple of years ago now. I've been going into the Wayback Machine and looking at my personal journey. Katie and Key Lime, you guys, that's exactly where I was a couple of years ago when I switched over to a heart rate based training. Specifically, the only metric I was looking at was heart rate, and keeping my heart rate under 140 beats per minute. Man, was that a challenge. And yes, I was shuffling slower than I could walk. I could keep my heart rate down by walking fast, but once I added the shuffle in, my heart rate would spike. So it was super frustrating. What you will find, and this is what FOD Runner says too, running takes patience. And oh boy, howdy do we not like that. I always think when I train that in 6 months' time, I will reap the rewards of running on those dark, wet, and windy nights. That is very true. It's why I love calling it a journey. A finish lines are fleeting. I have always felt. And they have motivated me in the past. But like I said at the top of the hour, I said, because I've been running for so long, I can remember what that felt like, but I have seen so much progress over 10 years. Now, I'm not saying you have to wait for 10 years to see progress. I am saying that it's a much longer process than we think it's going to take. So there is a victory with every run, regardless of pace. Let's see what else. Guys, you guys are awesome. think I overcame the breathing issue 2 days ago. I was going to bring that up at some point. I'm still working on where that's going to come in, but I'm glad you were able to figure that out, Key Lime. I'm going to do a kind of a demonstration on that at some point. Jacob, yes, set a goal that is achievable, time-bound, and build a plan to get there. Thank you for bringing that up, Jacob. Yes, an accountability partner. I'm volunteering. Okay. Seriously, I want to help keep you accountable however you need. Facebook groups are good for that. If you have a live and in-person someone you can talk to keep you motivated, ask you how the training is going, and you can be honest with them and they won't make you feel bad about it. Accountability partners are huge. And then celebrate. Yes, you've got to celebrate that goal. You've got to celebrate. I think you have to celebrate to a point every workout, every time, because you made a choice to go out there and do something good for yourself. It may have hurt. It may have been no fun whatsoever, but you made the choice to go out there and do something good for yourself. Just saying. Jacob, thank you for chiming in on that. That was awesome. Okay. Discovered heart rate training last year, and it's so good. Tough, as you say, at first to get used to it. One of these days, I want to do the evolution of my running. And I don't want to get into it too much here, but going back and looking at the heart rate training that I did, things have shifted for me quite a bit. So it's heart rate training is its own animal, isn't it? It really is. So how do you convince your wife or husband that your running is important? There are days that my wife wants to go out to eat, shopping. How do I tell her it's important? Oh, Chuck, that's a tough one. Because if anyone has Chuck, hubby and I have an agreement to take turns watching the kids so we can participate in our various activities. And one date night, we do something together. I like that, Running Geek Girl. Thank you for that. I do something similar to what Running Geek Girl says about that. So my husband, Dave, is a runner, runs because I am a runner. He just finished his first marathon. Yay, that was fantastic. Very quickly after that, he's like, this is not for me. This is not for me. We'll do Run Disney Runs together. We'll run the Boulder 10K together, but he's not out there several days a week running. It's not his thing. As I've said, I've made a 10-year, this has been a commitment of 10 years and it's grown over time. He's relatively new to it. And the prioritization for him is hard. Now, he has been amazing because he has seen how important it is to me. In fact, he sat right next to me the day I signed up for my first Ironman. Well, wasn't the first Ironman I finished. It's a totally different story. But he sat there and said, hey, just go for it. We'll make it work. Let's just go for it. He would watch my kid while I went for a long ride or a long run. And we were able to kind of shift around all of that. So he's been amazing as support crew. So Stephanie, I don't have the partner struggle, but I have other family struggle. My boyfriend is super supportive, but my sister and my mom, my sister and my mom tell me constantly how bad running is for me. If someone can please explain to me why running is bad for you, then okay, let's have a conversation about that. There are a lot of myths about running out there. Running is bad for your knees. Running is, all of these things. Running ruins your body. No, it's not. Science has advanced to the point where anybody can be a runner and a healthy one at that. So, Stephanie, I'm sorry that is an issue for you. I can say, like, how would I respond? I have family and friends who, you know, say, can't you take a day off? I was like, yeah, I could. It's not in my training plan. My day off is tomorrow. I'll take a day off tomorrow. And I do take a day off. But today, I don't have to go running. I want to go running. I want to run. I feel good after I run. It makes me happy. It brings me joy. So explain to me why, if it makes me happy and brings me joy and basically makes me a nicer person to be around, why is that bad for me or anyone else? There are people, seriously. So, the doctor told my sister that the internal jostling is bad for your organs. That's interesting. I would ask for a second opinion. Just made me spill my tea. Yes. Sorry, I need a minute. So that was funny. Between Linda and Ann, you guys are cracking me up. My husband runs because I do too. He always says that I don't get to have all the fun. He means the medals. He's not as serious or as focused as I am. So he has his own journey, right? Let him have his journey. And I know, Chuck, that I don't know if that helps, but here's another good example. So my husband loves football, loves basketball, has in the past, and he plays softball, has in the past gotten season tickets to CU basketball and all kinds of stuff like that. He is headed to Las Vegas this coming weekend for a basketball tournament. It's very important to him, and I know that it's important to him. And I'm like, you know what? Go have a great time. I literally can't tell you what the basketball tournament, like who's playing, what events are going on. I have no idea, but it's important to him, so he goes. And I've got the dog, I've got the kid, and we're fine, right? So it's important for us as partners to know what's important to the other and allow them that time. Does that make sense, Chuck? I hope this helps. Husband runs because that, right? So Linda, you and your husband have very different journeys. And as long as you guys can respect the other's journeys, I think that's going to keep going well for you. Yay, the post run is great. It's pre-post run. Yeah. Getting out there sometimes. Keeping your body moving is so important as we aged. I noticed less grunting when I went to stand up after I started moving. I have noticed more creaking, Heather, but that's something else entirely. Then he gets sad when he's in the last corral. Oh, yeah. So Chuck, I have a calendar where we can do 5 things a week. Oh, I like this. Okay. FOD Runner says this. I have a calendar where I can do 5 things a week. I can choose those things for 5 runs, 4 runs, and a live stream, 3 runs, and 2 nights out, and so on. Means 2 nights I spend with my wife. That really works for me. I like that. So, like everything else, it's about balance. It's that elusive thing called balance, isn't it? So I like to think of it, I never believed that running exists in a vacuum, that a partnership exists in a vacuum. It's all of it affects everything else. And it's how we get this section over here to play with this section here and play with this section here. And it all comes together, and find a way to communicate with one another too. I think communication is really the biggest part of all of this. She was getting fed up with me scheduling in time for me and not for her, which was fair enough. So now she feels equal to my love for running as I schedule in time for her. I love that. That's great. She is anti-running, if you hadn't guessed. Well, I'm glad though that there has been a balance that you guys have achieved. That's good. So I want to talk about something else. So I want to know first, how many of you struggle to get up early and go running? I do it every morning, almost every morning. But Cynthia asked this. One thing I'd like to learn, and if you guys have questions, please throw them in the chat, because I love the conversation that's happening. This is so much fun right now. Cynthia asked this. One thing that I'd like to learn more about is how to have a successful morning run. Cynthia has a 5K at the end of March that's at 8 a.m., but I know I'm always tighter in the mornings as I haven't moved around and naturally warmed up as much as if I run at the end of the day. Early, is that a thing? Yes, early is a thing. So, oh, thank you, Chuck. I'm glad you found some encouragement. That makes my heart happy. So, a lot of folks have struggles getting out in the morning, myself included. I will say I struggle running in the evenings. Okay, Tony and Lindsay. Hi, guys. I can only get going in the morning if I have someone waiting to meet me. That's right there. That's motivation. That's your accountability partner. And that is one of the things that kind of helps us get moving if we're not morning people. I'd hate to disappoint someone since I got a solid running buddy. I've been really consistent and it's been awesome. Good. And again, this comes back to a couple of things that I've mentioned before. One is that it's our own journey. And two, I have a hard time relating to people who can run in the evenings. If I wait until after 10 o'clock to run, I am miserable. 10 a.m. I am miserable. I almost just say, you know what? It's not going to happen today. 10 o'clock, as early as 10 o'clock. I was like, nope, guess I'm not getting my run in today, even though I have hours left in the day. Like, nope, it's not going to happen. Especially in the summertime when it gets hot out here. But I am really, really good at running in the morning. So how do you switch that over? And what Cynthia is asking is that there's a 5K race in the morning. At the end of March, I mean, obviously this is the 1st of March, you've got a few weeks. So start training yourself to just get up. Start this way, just get up when you would get up for that race. So say 7 o'clock. You don't need to go for a run, but get up and prepare as if you were. The other thing, talking about being tight in the morning and it's harder to go in the morning, I would suggest spend time warming up. So whether that's a brisk walk around the block, maybe a 10-minute brisk walk, I would make it a long warm up too. Even though it's a 5K, do a long walk, 10, 15 minutes or so at a brisk pace, then stop and either stretch or do some dynamic stretching. So if you guys go back and look, you can search this channel for dynamic warm-ups. What I do, it's a lot of walking on my toes and walking on my heels, knee lifts and butt kicks, skips and gallops. All of that will warm up your muscles. And if you do that consistently before you run, especially in the morning, your body will be much more loose in the morning. And then it becomes a matter of making it a habit. Okay. If you get up early, not necessarily every day, but just mentally to go for a run. I always, every morning run, the first mile is a junk mile. And I don't like calling them junk miles. It's kind of that I go at whatever pace my body is telling me to go. And sometimes that's a lot slower than I want it to be. And sometimes it's faster than I expect it. So I throw out that pace mentally. It doesn't matter to me, whatever that pace is. So I just allow that first mile to be a warm-up mile. That's one way you can do that. Let's see. I've got a lot of folks chiming in on this. Mornings are good with me. Evening runs I struggle with. Hi, Juanita. Hello, princess. All these princesses are showing up. It's so great. So mornings are good. And I think, too, it depends on where you live. Chuck, I'd rather run in the morning than in the evening after work. I'm lucky to be a morning person. Cindy, nothing gets me psyched up as getting, oh, yeah, I heard that, Cindy. Psyched up as getting my run in before the office. It's a wake up, isn't it? It feels good. Running in the evening. Another thing, and there's science behind this that I literally can only say there is science behind it about your cortisol levels, okay, are higher in the morning, and your runs are more effective in the morning. I will do some research on that. My nutritionist knows all about cortisol, and she's done a lot of research on it. She's brilliant. When she starts talking like that, I'm like, okay, what? Anyway, Heather, timing is hard. Whoop, I lost you. Timing is hard for me because I need to eat before I run, but I can't run right after I eat. Yeah, I've been struggling with that. Fasted running is another trend in running, which means that you're not eating before you run really at all. That's hard for me to do. Jacob's not a morning person. Run at night after the kids go to bed. Do you look like a UFO? You look like a Christmas tree. Jacob, that's good. At least you are seen. That's safe. I think a lot of it too. I would like to suggest that there is, hang on a second. I think there's a gender thing too. Ladies, we like to feel safer. Not to say that men don't want to feel safe. That's not my point. That we feel a bit more vulnerable than maybe we are. But I do think there's a gender thing as well. Certainly not meaning to play that card, but I think it does affect when we run and with whom and where a little bit more than it would with a guy. Guys, let me know if you have experienced any of this. I would like to open up a conversation open that can of worms, if you will. How early? Jeremy asked, how early do you get up for a morning run? Mine are, lately, I get up early just to get up early and get my brain in gear. I try to get up I set my alarm for 5 because I know that's when my coffee pot goes off. I get out of bed about 5:15, 5:30. I don't run that early. The sun doesn't even come up here until about 6:30. It's not light in the sky yet. It's been very cold. In the summers, though, I will get up an hour before dawn to start a long run. If I know I'm going to be out there for a few hours, I know it's going to start getting hot, I will get up super early, and those are hard. Otherwise, I don't start my runs until my son goes to school, which is about 8 o'clock. So it just depends on what the run is. But I do try to get up every morning at 5:30. So on those days that I do have to get up and go running, it's not as hard as if I were sleeping in until 6 or 6:30. I hope that makes sense, Jeremy. Thanks, Heather, for that toe and heel warm-up tip. And oh, good. No, Cindy, dynamic warm-ups, you always look funny, but that's okay. I run at night, but races are always in the morning. Yes. The night before a race, you're not going to sleep right. You just don't. Just forget the idea that you're going to have a good night's sleep the night before a race. You just won't. So 2 nights before, that's when you want to sleep right. That's when you really want to think about getting that extra sleep. I only eat before races. Might have a gel in the morning if you're hungry, but I can't eat before a run. See, that's one of those that's one of those things that It's very personal. Some people can't go out without having a banana or half a bagel. I don't have time to run in the mornings, but before work, I do mornings on the weekends. Hey, FOD runner. See you, man. I'm so glad you came by. Go put those kids to bed. I know it's what, 8 o'clock where you guys are? Yeah. Struggle to get to the gym, train on a treadmill. So it's interesting. I'm seeing very divided. Like it's hard to get, key lime, struggle to get to the gym to train on the treadmill, but have no problem getting up to go out. Ask me to get on a treadmill at any time of day, and I will fight you tooth and nail on it. I'll eventually give in if that's my only option. You have to make the options attractive, don't you? If it's a beautiful morning, it's harder to get up early and go running when it's raining out. It's a lot easier when you know it's going to be warm and a beautiful day. Rather run in the dark than in the heat. Struggle with running in Florida. That's got to be tough. How do you cross train? Jeremy, good question. I have been doing TRX. So I did another video on that. Those are the straps, right? That just hang from a door. You're not really bearing weight. It's just body weight. But it is hard. Right now, I'm only doing that twice a week, 2 or 3 times a week, because I'm still getting back into strength training. Cross training for runners can be almost anything within reason. If you're looking at, I love swimming as cross training because it develops the upper body. Spinning is a little tough because even though it gets your legs moving faster, it can be kind of hard on you. And I really have a love-hate relationship with my bike. Water running. That's another good way to do kind of run specific cross training. Strength training exercises. Anybody else chime in with your favorite cross training workouts? Anybody do CrossFit or Orange Theory? I have not done either of those because I know how hard that is going to be and how much it will hurt me. Okay. So, hi, Molly. Nice to see you here. My favorite runs are early weekend when it's 15 to 30 degrees. Key Lime, where are you living now? I knew you used to live in Florida. Juanita does Orange Theory. That's tough stuff. Orange Theory scares me. Man, I appreciate you guys doing Orange Theory. It looks hard. I also, because I know they follow, you're in Nashville now. Okay. I know that the system of Orange Theory is heart rate based, and I like that. My concern about things like Orange Theory, I know I could do it, Juanita. I don't want to. The thing that concerns me about Orange Theory is in a class, Dave. Okay, we're going to talk. In a class situation, I do get a little bit more competitive than I probably should. Therefore, is that going to compromise the run-specific training when I have a run-specific goal? I live in a place of always having a running goal in mind or a race goal in mind. When I can't tell you the last time I didn't have a race on the calendar for which I was training because I don't like that downtime. I just don't. One of you guys a couple weeks ago was asking about, and I wrote it down who it was, about what do you do in that meantime, right? What do you do when you finish a goal, when you reach that finish line, and then you don't even start training for the next race for a few weeks or months? What do you do in the meantime? I don't have that downtime. There is something called maintenance, which is great. But I haven't gotten to that point in a very long time. So we'll talk about that probably in a future video. I've got about 5 minutes before I'm going to sign off. But Dave, welcome. I can't swim and I hate bikes. That sums up a lot. I think as far as I used to be a swimmer, so swimming is my first love. But I want to try Orange Theory, but I'm afraid I'll like it. Yeah, that's another one too, because as a former triathlete, and I say former because I'll eventually get back in it, I'm a recovering triathlete. Maybe you can say it that way. I always feel like my membership money needs to go to a place that has a pool. Orange Theory doesn't have a pool. It would be good it would probably be even better for a triathlete's cross training, Orange Theory and CrossFit. I do like oranges. When did you start adding nutrition to your runs and made it through the 5K training plan without even having to carry water? Yep, that makes sense. Starting next week, my workout will be over an hour. What would you recommend? Katie, I would say bring a water. But honestly, I wouldn't bring nutrition. You might bring watered down Gatorade if that works for you, or Noon. Those are those effervescent tablets that you dissolve in water. The Noon doesn't have all that sugar in it, but if you're looking for calorie consumption, just something to keep you going, Gatorade is good. But an hour, you're still on that bubble. You don't really need anything just yet. I don't bring anything until I hit that hour and a half mark. I'll consume something at 45 minutes or 3 miles or 4 miles, depending on how I'm feeling. But I know I can get through an hour and a half workout without any nutrition. Does that make sense? Oops, I poked on something. Okay. Where was that question? I lost you. So that's what I would recommend, Katie. Flamenco dance classes, Anne. That sounds spectacular. That would be fun. I can't dance. I so can't. I am a train wreck dancing. Let's see. What else do you guys have to say? Body flow has drastically improved my running. Oh, I love that. See, that's the kind of thing I can get into. So Cindy's talking about body flow. It's Pilates, yoga, and Tai Chi. I love yoga as cross training. I will do a long yoga workout on those days that I'm not feeling like I want to get my heart rate up, but I still want to feel like I'm working. And I am definitely feeling the effects of not having strength trained in a while. So that's kind of how I kind of cross train for things like that. Jeremy, is that helping? Oranges are great. Oranges are love. What percentage do you feel physical versus mental during runs? Depends on the day. My Disney park memories, very good question. Physical versus mental. They're both strengthening the muscles. You've got that mental muscle that I was talking about earlier, that motivation. It's, I call it embracing the suck. Okay. So you're running along and everything hurts and you know it, and you feel every muscle and every joint, and you're like, oh, I can't stand this. I want to go home. That becomes both physical and mental. And I think one can get to the other. If we're not in it mentally, it can affect us physically, or we notice the physical botherings right now. Or if we're already hurting, or that knee's kind of bugging us, it'll start to wiggle our way into our brains and say, yeah, the longer I have to go, the more of a mental game it becomes. That's hard. That one is super hard. That's why marathon training is so hard. It's not about the day. I mean, it is, but it's not. I mean, running 26 miles on one day is one thing, but when you have 3 or 4 20+ milers, depending on what training plan you use, can can be just as hard, if not harder. Does that make sense? Juanita, how do you start back to training after surgery? Having surgery will not be able to train for 6 weeks. That's definitely a great question for your doctor, Juanita. Yeah, I want to hear how your surgery goes. And, you know, when you start back to training after surgery, oh, look, and the run experience is live. I may lose a few of you to the run experience because those guys are awesome. I do want to wrap up, but just Juanita, just to answer your question really quick, go with what your doctor says. Start easy. I would even look at it as a reset, depending on the invasiveness of the surgery, depending on the recovery time, what your doctor says, and how you might just look at that as a new waypoint on your journey. Does that make sense? Like, just say, post-surgery, I'm starting over. Does that make sense? And for a while, ignore what came before surgery. I think mentally we have this thing of, okay, well, I used to do this. So I hope that helps. Okay, you guys, I am going to sign off here. Please come back and check out the Survey Monkey. I don't know why that was not working. I'm going to try it one more time and see if it works. Guys, if you are, please head over to this Survey Monkey. It still isn't working. Okay. In the description, after this goes live, I will have that survey up. It will be over on my Grace and Pretzels Facebook page. Thank you guys for watching. Head over to the Run Experience. They are live now. Guys, love you. And go find your awesome. We'll see you later. How do I get out of here? I can never remember. Like, I'm always on for another, 5-10 minutes after I say goodbye. Okay, no, seriously, you guys. See you later. Mwah. Go find your awesome. Happy running.